Episode 8 of Chainsaw Man is the best episode of Chainsaw Man and what I consider to be the best episode of 2022 as a whole. There is action in this episode, but as far as action goes, I still think episode 4 of Chainsaw Man is the best. The focus, while the action is amazing, and it actually has my favorite fight scene in all of Chainsaw Man. I know it's an unpopular opinion, but I do think Aki vs Katana Man is the best fight in Chainsaw Man. Even if action is not the focus, as far as raw storyboarding goes, Gosso is unmatched. He's, I'd say, up there as one of the best episode directors in the industry currently. I'd put him up there with like the Hakyu Go team of episode directors. If there's one word I can use to describe Shota GOATozono, it's ambitious. As soon as he's perfected something, he wants to push it to the next level. In episode 63 of Black Clover, he made what was possibly the most ambitious sequence of that episode, particularly this cut where the shot constantly zooms in and out between the two characters, which is only possible because of his integration of 2D and 3D, which even here it is integrated seamlessly, but it looks horrible because the quality itself of both the 2D and the 3D animation is pretty shit. But even then, you can tell that if this scene was completed, it would be beyond something that you would have seen in TV anime. The reason this scene in Black Clover by Shota GOATozono looked the way it did is because Black Clover 63 had horrible production values put into it that I did not mention here because I mentioned it in my previous video, but I should have mentioned it here as well. That was of course just the start of Shota GOATozono. Then he got his opportunity to direct an episode. I think this was his directorial debut in episode 8, Jujutsu Kaisen. As far as production quality goes, it was just another episode. It was just average in terms of Jujutsu Kaisen. But even then, that episode stood out to me. Particularly some shots stood out to me. After that though, his ambition was backed up by the production. In episode 17 of Jujutsu Kaisen, he directed again. But this time, this was a full Sakuga episode. Plenty of big name animators, plenty of Sakuga. And then comes one scene in that episode, animated by Shota GOATozono, which again defies what should be done and could be done in TV anime. And this time, the integration between the 2D and 3D is flawless. After JJK, he worked on Osama Ranking, where he directed 2 episodes, 2 of the best episodes in Osama Ranking. One was focused on characters and the other one on action, and both of them are absolute incredible masterpieces. What defines Shota GOATozono's style is his understanding of space and timing. Timing is something that most directors, most high-quality directors are good at, but it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that he's the best in the industry when it comes to spacing. The idea of depth in anime is very difficult to portray because guess what? There is no depth in anime. It's something that I keep saying that in a lot of my videos, but yes, there is no depth in anime. Everything is 2D. So the only way to create depth is via visual illusions. And there's no one in the industry better than Gosso at doing that. So the way Gosso puts this 3D illusion into this 2D world is, well, first of all, by using 3D. He's, as I said before, a master at mixing 2D and 3D. As you can see here, he used 3D for the layout, mapped out the entire space, formulated a very good understanding of the space, and then animated on top of it. Another thing that he does extremely well is his shot composition. Gosso has his signature fisheye effect. He makes a shot either very concave or very convex. Shots like these are incredibly difficult to come up with because you're working from the absolute ground up with these sequences. These are not real life locations and you don't have an actual fisheye lens camera to use as reference. This goes beyond just having talent. Shota GOATozono is a once in a generation type of genius. Now coming to episode 8 of Chainsaw Man, his most ambitious work yet. Which is also crazy because he's the most limited here, both in terms of the schedule as well as what he can do, because yes, his style is semi-realistic, but sometimes he goes overboard with the convex and concave effects like he does here in Osama Ranking, which won't work in Chainsaw Man because that goes past the realism identity that Chainsaw Man is trying to keep. The shot composition is still genius and his understanding of timing is unmatched here, particularly with one scene. You probably already know which scene I'm talking about in terms of timing, but I'll talk about it extensively when I get there. Some of the animators that worked on this episode have never worked in anime in their life before, which is just crazy to think about considering the quality of this episode. But the star of this episode in terms of animation is Koki Fujimoto. Koki Fujimoto animated almost 3 minutes of content for this one episode. To put that in perspective, he animated 3 minutes also for Jujutsu Kaisen 0, the movie, and that was already incredible. No one just animates 3 minutes of content for a movie. And he did that here, but this is a 20 minutes episode that he animated 3 minutes for. And this episode might be his best work in terms of action animation ever, where he animated the Aki versus Katana Man fight, and boy, it's incredible. And I know that's an unpopular opinion. Most people are comparing that to a fan animation of another person and they think that is better, which is stupid. That is great. Yes, but it does not match the level of polish that this episode has, plus time constraints, plus the constraints of actually flowing with the rest of the sequences of the episode. You know, you need to understand how anime works before you criticize it. Anyway, let's get into the breakdown. So this is how I'm going to be doing breakdowns further, because I realize that the actual show is more important than having my face in focus. If you do want me to go back to the previous way, do tell me, and also tell me the reason why you want it to be that way. But I do think this way is far superior. So right off the bat, we get sequences animated by Fujimoto. And all of this is just absolute character acting genius. It goes on for over a minute. You can tell that there's already a Shota GOATozono storyboard from the way the camera is placed. In terms of emulating realism, he is very similar to Nakayama. Nakayama vision shines very well through Shota GOATozono, which is why I guess this episode works so well. That said, Gosso is not going all the way with the style here, because if he was, this would probably be like a convex sequence, giving an even better understanding of the space, like he did for, let's say, this shot in Osama Ranking. And the chair tumbling animation is just so ridiculous. You can see that this chair, all this time it was moving very slow, but now it's gone past its center of gravity, so it moves very fast. There's a beautiful looking smear, and then it falls down and tumbles. This is ridiculous. The amount of effort that he's put into this chair animation. That's so good. And of course, these curtains are moving in the background as well. These are 2D curtains. You can tell by the shading, which was also probably animated by Fujimoto. And yes, of course, more Shota GOATozono shots. Again, the character acting here is incredible. So much fluidity. And I wouldn't even be surprised if there are people who think this was rotoscoped, because it is just that fluid. I'm going to skip forward a little bit because I want to talk about this scene. As she's taking off the clothes, right now she's pulling on this button, the button right here. So the fold goes towards that direction. Takes it off, she goes down, folds that direction. Lower, lower. Folds are perfectly folding into the location that she's grabbing the shirt in. The attention to detail is incredible. The shading is awesome. The animation itself is of course incredible. I love how she just this cute little turn here. And of course, what would be Chainsaw Man if not for extremely complicated reflection animation as well? So this is separately animated. Again, as I keep saying, you can't just tell a computer that, hey, use this as reference and then emulate that onto a screen here. A computer won't know what the fuck to do. This was also separately animated by Fujimoto, which is particularly incredible because look at the folds. This is exactly what these folds would look like when reflected on this particular surface. To animate that completely different perspective onto a mirror while also making sure that it looks like a reflection of this image right here is crazy. I mean, they're talented. What else can I say? And I also like how the shot ends with this mirror. Like she's already gone past this one, but you can still see her here. This is where I'm talking about the really good audio design. You can just hear her showering. Well, Gosso storyboards just do their thing. This is the scene where I'd say the second key animation might have made this a little bit bulky. Her eye looks very weird here. I think it's because it's a little bit too big, or maybe the perspective from the key animation was not perfectly conveyed to the second KA. The way the shading is moving, a little bit wonky second key animation. And as I said before, the production schedule had caught up to them at this point, so not really their fault. Okay, let's talk about this. This is what I'm talking about Shota GOATozono and his ambition. Shots like these we're not there yet, all right? Not in terms of technology. We can't just make an entire 3D space that is just not one space. You're moving between two different spaces here. You're moving from the hall of her apartment into another room done in 3D while having a 2D character lie on top of the bed. And since you're moving close to that 2D character, you also have to shift the perspectives on that 2D character. So this switch here where Denji's face is appearing, and you have to do this, right? You have to show his face appearing into the scene. It looks very wonky, especially when seen in motion. And it also looks like he's floating, sliding irregularly on top of the bed. This is not a case of bad animation. This is not even a case of bad compositing. This is just a limitation in terms of what we as human beings can do with the medium of animation. But Gosso will still do shit like this. The next time he makes a storyboard, he will make something like this again. He won't be like, oh, the last time I tried this, it did not look good. Maybe I shouldn't do this. Instead, he'll say, the last time I did this, it did not look good. How can I make this look good? And he'll actually do that. Also, the fact that they made an entire 3D space of the hallway and the room with the bed and all of the things in the bedroom just for this one cut is ridiculous to me. This scene was animated by Daiki Harashina. Daiki Harashina is an action animator. He worked on Tucked Up Destiny. I know what you're thinking. Worked on Tucked Up Destiny, Mappa show. So he's working on the Mappa show again now. That's not what happened. He worked on the Madhouse episodes of Tucked Up Destiny. He also worked on Sonny Boy. So he's worked a good amount with Madhouse. And now he's in Chainsaw Man. He only animated this one scene in Chainsaw Man. This entire scene is great. His animation is good. You cannot judge him based on this one cut, which looks wonky, but that's obviously not his fault. This is just Gosso doing Gosso things. Great first-person shot as well. And now you'll see the full extent of Gosso's glory. Look at that shit. This is the Shota GOATozono angle that I was talking about. This is a convex shot. This portion and this portion is distorted. You can see the full bed. If this was a flat surface, you would not be able to see the edge of the bed here. This would be pointing upwards, right? But this is pointing frontwards because he's literally distorting the space around him, maybe because of Himeno's gigantic tits that have their own gravitation field. Even if Himeno did not have tits, Gosso would probably do this, though I do think in this particular shot, he's storyboarding this specifically in this way so that he can put Himeno's tits into the shot in its full glory because he wants to put them front and center, right? But yeah, this is it. This is the Gosso angle. This is the Gosso fisheye effect that I was talking about. As far as Harashina's animation here goes, look at how fucking fluid he is. I do wish that they gave Himeno a little bit more of an ass. Yeah, that's like zero ass. And also the Konosuba girls as well, right? Like Aqua has a lot of ass, but Darkness has like zero ass. She has huge tits, but she has like zero ass. And Megumin has neither. Maybe it's just Japanese authors not liking ass much. Thankfully, in Rika Takarada's case, they went the opposite route. I'm sorry I went on a tangent about ass and thighs and tits. I like ass and thighs and tits. Sorry about that. I love this motion. So well animated. This, I think it's reused from the previous episode. It is. This should be Takuya Niinuma's animation, as you can probably tell from the multi-layered shading. I'm assuming he did not get to do his own Genga in episode 7 because episode 7 was another episode made in a tight crunch, especially the second half of episode 7. First half was Keiichiro Watanabe's greatness, but the second half suffered a bit. And Takuya Niinuma is one guy who should always do his own Genga because he's one animator who is not just incredible solely because of his animation, but the way he shades his characters. Takuya Niinuma is a shading genius, and in the future, I'm sure he's going to be the industry-leading animation director. Another reason why I think he didn't do his best work in episode 7 was because he did his best work here in episode 8. I'll get to that, I'll talk about it. But yes, Takuya Niinuma is a genius. He's mostly works with Cloverworks. Again, look at this Gosso angle. As I said, his idea of spacing, giving you an understanding of the space is incredible. It's like what he does with his shots is that, you know those sliders in video games that says field of vision, FOV sliders? He always slides them to the absolute maximum. The camera is extremely close to Himeno's face. Denji still shouldn't be this far away, but it looks like Denji is very far away. It's like mirrors in vehicles where it says objects in the mirrors are closer than they appear. He wants as much space to be put into a shot as much as possible. Again, the boob settle animation here is very good. I'm a connoisseur of boob settle animation. They sway forward here and then they jiggle back. And now the reflections are taken to the absolute limit. It's not even just a part of the animation anymore. It is the animation. This must be so hard to storyboard because you have to invert it. Like this is her left hand. Gosh, the character acting is just perfect, isn't it? You can look at this focus shift. Brilliantly done focus shift. And look at the shading on this can as well. Fucking gorgeous. And those who didn't watch my breakdown of episode 2, this scene in the opening was also animated by Gosso. Again, you can see his understanding of spacing, though this was probably this is definitely storyboarded by Shingo Yamashita. But even then, the way he does this is gorgeous. All of these characters are 3D, and that's the reason why they can flawlessly rotate them while also having them stay on model the entire time because it's 3D, right? You don't care about it being off model because it won't be. And now look at this. Power is here. In front of Power, there's Aki. In front of Aki, there's Makima. Like here you can tell that Denji is slightly behind Aki. And even here, you can tell that Denji is slightly behind Aki, which is just ridiculous to even think about because, as I said before, these are 2D characters. Everything here is two-dimensional. There is Aki standing in between Power and Makima. But the distance between Power and Makima is 0. These are all 2D layers stacked on top of each other, but because when you're stacking something that's entirely flat and has no depth, it will just be flat. But the understanding of spacing here is done just so perfectly, which is what Gosso shines at. I also love this piece of animation in this opening, where Denji's expression is shifting, so is Makima. And the shading on Makima also changes completely. Art direction, of course, goddamn gorgeous, as it has always been in Chainsaw Man. One of the weakest points of Jujutsu Kaisen, one of the strongest points, I would say, in Chainsaw Man. Scenes here animated by Yu Kitaguchi, continuous gorgeous animation. I was looking at her tits there, yes. I think she says banzai there. The subtitles say, what do the subtitles say? Stick him up. I think that's a translation. If there's someone who has a better understanding of Japanese than me, please tell me what she actually means by saying banzai there. Because my understanding of banzai is that it's a Japanese war cry. Or at least that's what I know from Call of Duty World at War. Anyone who's played that game are probably having war flashbacks because I have died so many times to a Japanese soldier just saying banzai and charging towards me with the bayonet. Yeah, she's saying banzai here. Maybe that's, I don't know, an internal joke in Japan that does not translate well to English. But it's like Denji has no power over his body. He's just doing whatever she says. It's kind of creepy how she's saying, there you go, good boy, you know, like as if she knows that he's a minor, which she does, but she's still doing it because she's drunk as fuck. Love the shot. So cool. It's a very Ryu Nakayama-esque shot. And again, like shots like these, Gosso excels at. And it's all done with beautiful animation as well. Gosh, I love the folds from the inside part of the shirt shown to us. That's animated by Shun, I think. Let me check. So this is Yu Kitaguchi's second work in anime. His first work was in Eizouken, where he did really good animation. But yeah, this is the second time he's animating for anime ever. And this is Shun's first time working in anime, moving to the most Gosso angle ever. As I said, he just turns the FOV slider to the absolute maximum. This is such a cool shot. Because it's a concave shot, she appears way further away from the rest of the shot, which is why she looks so tiny here. Again, just removing the belt buckle, the sound direction is great. Removing the zip, again, the sound direction is so great. Love the facial expressions here as well. I don't know if this was corrected by one of the animation directors. If Shun did his own Genga here, then he's awesome, especially for someone animating the first time, right? Like these are really well-drawn drawings. More very Nakayama-esque shots. And boom, this is a Gosso shot. Slightly tilted, slight fisheye effect here again. Again, it's a concave effect. And now he goes the opposite route. This is a convex shot. I'm glad that he did that. Like, I can talk about that immediately. First a concave shot and convex shot. In Osama ranking, he goes absolutely nuts to butts with these. Here, it's not that distorted, but you can still say that there's a fisheye effect. You can see that these are supposed to be straight lines, but they're slightly curved. And your brain, it understands that they are supposed to be straight lines, but it's distorted for a reason. Of course, the character is just walking past the screen. That's one of the most impressive things about Chainsaw Man, honestly. Just the background characters are so well animated. And Makima walking in, again, her clothing animation, it's all so good. Again, the drawings here are really well done. I love the line work. In this entire episode, I really enjoy the line work. I don't know why. The ADs are not unique for this episode. It's Shota Yamazaki. There is Takuya Niinuma, however. I don't think he worked in this scene. Love the shot, by the way. He gets a taste of the Chupa Chups. And then there's this shot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just 7 frames. It just stays on your screen. And it comes in and goes in a very awkward way. Look at this. And that's cool. The reason it's done like this, because if you can tell from the shot, it's slightly grainy. It looks like a painting, like a proper painting. It's as if this experience, which is something that Makima elaborates on like later on in this dialogue, it's like this experience has been printed into Denji's mind now. This area is now a piece of Denji's memory because this is the first time experience for him. So that is shown by the art direction here. It's done in a really cool way. This is a shot, again, like almost a one-to-one from the manga. It looks really gorgeous. Love the focus shift. Again, as I said, the line work here is just, there's something special about it. The drawings are really good. Another convex shot, fisheye effect, awesome. And these shots would be like very impressive if it was done by another director. But for Shota GOATozono, this is just another shot. And here is when I think, yes, I can already tell this is Takeyo Niinuma's AD. As for the animator, it is listed as artist unknown, so I don't know who did this. But as far as the shading goes, you can already tell that this is Takeyo Niinuma. Multi-layered shading as usual. The line work looks Niinuma-esque. As for the multi-layered shading, you can already see this is 1, this is 2, and then this is the natural shade of the shirt itself. At least 3 layers of colors. It's much more noticeable in his actual work, animation work in this episode, which is just a masterclass. Again, another very Ryu Nakayama-esque shot. It's as if a physical camera is placed there. And moving to a Gosso-esque shot. Nothing convex or concave about this. There's no fisheye effect here, but still it's like the FOV slider has been dialed to the maximum. There's not much distance between these two characters, as you can see here. That's not much distance at all. And this is a very Gosso-esque shot. As you can see, these plants, the pots are warped. So is this railing here. Not as overblown, again, as the other shots that he does, because that won't work in Chainsaw Man's realism style. Great character acting here, great shading with literally no line work, which is something Takeyo Niinuma does. If you have seen his work in My Dress Up Darling, he removes line work a lot. And instead, he just plays with shading. No line work on her nose, no line work here. It's very cool to see that there's no line work in all places where this light is falling. And I also love this. You can tell that Denji slept on the floor just from the bed hair. And again, this shit, he's just saying, yeah, I'd love the shit out of her. And the way he's lifting the bread, it's fully done in once. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. 22 drawings of him just lifting the bread towards his face. Why would you do that? Niinuma AD, again, really shining through here. The shading is just perfect. Again, I love the animation here. They're trying to be realistic, but not emulating realism. Like, these don't look as fluid as, let's say, Koki Fujimoto's character acting sequences. It's more dependent on timing. I really like that. I just look at the shading, right? There's this extremely light layer, almost pure white color on her nose bridge and her lip here. Then there's another layer of lightness where the light is falling. Then there's a slightly darker layer, which is her natural skin tone. And then there's an even darker layer for the shadows. Even in her hair, 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's like 4 layers of shading at all times. Look at this fucking shot. I can't tell if there's CGI here. I really cannot. The perspective is shifting on these railings. Wait, no, right? I don't even think the perspective is shifting on those railings. I thought the railing was CGI. I don't know how they're doing this. But these plants, they are just 2D layers. They're not made in CGI. The space itself also does not look like it was made in CGI. The table also looks 2D. Every element here looks 2D, but it still gives depth. Not only that, it's also literally rotating. Needlessly complicated scene, but needlessly complicated scenes are what make scenes special. If you notice, this is just 2 characters talking to each other, and I'm breaking down the animation of every single scene, which you won't see usually in anime, where 2 characters are just talking to each other. But with Chainsaw Man, you do. Because god damn it, this is perfect. What an incredible shot. I don't even think they're using CGI here, which just makes it more impressive. If they were using CGI here, that would be impressive that they model the whole CGI background for this one scene. But just the fact that they're not using CGI and they're still able to make this multi-layered depth, illusion of depth, is crazy. This is just a masterclass of art direction again. A hanging bed, I used to love that when I was a kid. Now I'm too big to fit in most of them, so damn it. Clothes hanging here. And just breathes life into this world. That's what art direction is supposed to do. And it's being done so well in Chainsaw Man. True Chainsaw Man fashion. I love it. What do you like about him? His face. Nice. Love this as well. This taunting expression that Denji does. There's no sound there. There's no sound while he does that. It's just character acting. I love it. This shot is just painful, knowing what will happen to her. Yeah, let's be friends, you know? I'll be your first friend. This will turn into a slice of life rom-com anime. That's what we want, right? Hello, it's editing me again, and I just want to add to what I just said here because I just realized how genius Ryu Nakayama's PV1 was. I'm talking about the pre-animated PV. Because the way he showed us the events of Chainsaw Man, it actually showed us a slice of life version with scenes like Power, Denji, and Kobeni in the beach, and Aki and Himeno in bed, which is like a what could have been until we're hit by the harsh reality. I just thought that was very cool, and it just goes to show just how well Ryu Nakayama understands the source material. And shift to Makima. One of the best scenes I've seen in my life. Given to us by Takuya Niinuma again. So I guess he was just in charge of this whole portion. From Denji waking up to Makima getting capped. It's so easy to tell this was Takuya Niinuma just from the shading of these characters. This is also where Shota GOATozono goes beyond what a director should do for a show. This is where you can tell that these guys are trying to make this show a masterpiece, not just a good adaptation of the manga. They're doing their own thing. I'll explain, of course. The fact that the scene exists is absolutely incredible to me. The multi-layering is still gorgeous, by the way. You can tell that there's this layer, there's this layer. I think the seats are in 3D. I can't tell which portion is 3D and which is not. I'm assuming this railing might be 3D as well because it's shifting in perspective. So this railing might be 3D, these seats might be 3D. I could also be wrong about all of that. Look at this quality of drawings. It's so good. The character acting done, the way that it shows that Makima is talking, is done because her hand is moving. And that's how it shows that Makima is talking, not by her mouth moving. To a viewer who does not even understand anything about animation, you can tell that Makima is talking there, which is why her hand is moving like that. But to know that if her hand is resting here, and if her mouth is moving, if she's talking, her hand will also move, so I can show that she is talking via that animation. Understanding that takes talent. So good. The shading is so good. Love these plants animation as well. Yes, those are 2D plants that he had to draw himself. Multi-layered seats. Focus also perfectly done. Look at the background. Look at the blur, how perfectly placed that blur is. These shots are very hard to do. Usually it's all done in 3D, like Demon Slayer Mugen Train. They model the entire interior and the outside of the train in 3D. Ufotable can, of course, do that. They're the masters at doing that. In the manga, how this happened was, she said, yesterday's drinks were good, and then boom, she got clapped immediately afterwards. And it could work in anime format as well, right? You could do the shot, and then you could immediately see a gun poking from the back of her head, and you could shift to the anime equivalent of the panel in the manga, but that's not what they did. Gosso is taking the full potential of anime as a medium while he does this. Building suspense via timing, which is not something you can do in manga. You just flip a page. It's up to you. In anime, they decide the flow of the events, the creator. Sound effects. In this whole scene, there's nothing you can hear. You can just slowly hear this guy punching on his phone. You can also hear the sound of guns being assembled and zips being opened. That's all you can hear in the background. Something you cannot do in manga. What Fujimoto does in the manga is have this single panel pages to show something extreme happening. When that is done one-to-one in the anime, it does work. But this is even better. Everything is still, these four guys just dip and you're just confused. What the fuck is happening? The lighting changes when they go into the tunnel, and this is still animated. You can see the shadows on her face shifting. That has to be animated by Takuya Niinuma. Again, you can't just tell a computer like, these guys are going into a tunnel now, so shift the shadows, please. For so much time. How much time is this? So a good 10 seconds. For a good 10 seconds, nothing happens. You just hear the sounds of guns being assembled and people just fiddling with something, and then a tiny gun pops out from the background, and they know that your eyes will go there. Because everything else, yes, this guy is punching into his phone, but that has been uniform for the whole shot. So when this gun pokes in, let's say I'm looking at the left corner of the screen. You do that as well. Look at the left corner of this. Okay, probably not this screen, considering what I have in the left corner. Look at me right now, all right, in your screen. The gun pops in. You could notice that in your peripheral vision. I'm sure of it. And when the gun pops in, when you're actually watching the show, no matter where you're looking at it, when the gun pops in, it is something alien getting pushed into the screen. Your focus will shift there. And by the time you have time to figure out what the fuck is that, boom. This scene is an actual masterpiece, and it's one of the best scenes I've seen in anime. And then the music also comes in. Look at the shading again. So gorgeous on every single character. The shading is so gorgeous. Again, the understanding of spacing here is so well done. We are like luggage placed in the overhead bin, and we're looking at Makima through the railings. And then you zoom in on it. You expect her to move. The shading shift again when the light comes in is awesome. You expect her to move and she just doesn't move. It is just as good, if not better, than the manga. They're trying to make Chainsaw Man the anime. They're not trying to make Chainsaw Man the anime adaptation of an existing manga. That is why I respect Ryu Nakayama. That is why I respect his vision, at least in scenes like these. In action scenes, I wish they went all out. Like if they had like Kannada style animation in the action, I would have been more happy. They always keep the animation style uniform. And it's kind of sad considering the amount of talent that is going into the show. But with the rest of the scenes like this, I love Nakayama vision and it's perfect for Chainsaw Man. Takeo Niinuma's art rivals Hironori Tanaka. And give him some time, he will be the next Hironori Tanaka. He will be like an episode director where he does extensive AD work. Anyway, Takeo Niinuma, genius animator. My favorite scene in this entire show is this one, animated by Takeo Niinuma. Beautiful art direction and the music. The slow motion shot. It's just so good. It just adds so much to the scene. You see, I think this is Katana Guy. This is Katana Man who's walking into the shop. This is the shop that they're in right now. These are the devil hunters. These are the guys who are going to cap these devil hunters. Still frame. Just let the music do its job. It's so calm, right? People riding their bikes, people looking at their phones, just devil hunters doing their work, except this guy, just only component of this shot that is moving with like a dark silhouette that he has. You don't even need animation to make anime awesome. You can make scenes work just from direction, just from the shot composition that Gosso has. They're both so socially inept that she's sweating bullets, just showing this old person some directions. She bows, they walk. I think this is a CGI background. It doesn't even mix very well, but it gives the shot the alien effect that they're going for. Just day-to-day stuff, cars being in traffic jam. She pulls out a gun. Back to flowers. Everyone's pulling out guns. It feels serene. It feels otherworldly, while also feeling completely normal and natural. This is just the Chainsaw Man world. This is just how this world functions. Perfectly complemented by Kensuke Ushio's score, of course. Yeah, look at this lane. Look at how calm and quiet this lane is. Oh, that's a coffee shop. Maybe I'll visit the coffee shop. Holy fuck, they're pulling out guns. The music just adds so much to the scene. Music stops, sound comes in. There was no sound for this whole sequence, but now sound comes in. Awesome shot, very Ryu Nakayama-esque. Again, this guy's face is being hidden by the window. All of our characters can fit in one side, just one window pane. And this guy splits between two and his face is covered. Every single shot has so much thought put into it, which is what makes this show special, man. Again, this is all really well animated, but does not have that Fujimoto sense of realism. I mean, Koki Fujimoto, not Tatsuki Fujimoto, the mangaka. It is trying to look realistic with the motions, but it's well-timed motions. Here, however, there's a lot of second KA work by Shoshi, I think it is. So Shoshi is one of the animators who got into Chainsaw Man via the Ryu Nakayama project. That should also give an idea of the production schedule, by the way, because now with every piece of animation, they have to use second KA or they just won't be able to complete the sequences. The focus here is on Himeno, but when she says that Denji is a gentleman, look at Denji in the background. Adds so much to the scene. You finally get to see his face. I love Power's face here. Look at that. That's so cute. That's like Power straight from the manga face. You eat crap from an early age, you're bound to have bad taste when you're grown. Only ever killed a handful of women and children, but he's a good guy. Katana Man has been eating bad shit ever since he was young, so of course he has horrible taste as well. I love it. That is the genius of Tatsuki Fujimoto's writing. Again, it's really well animated, very Nakayama-esque shots. Like everyone in the background is continuously moving. As you can see, these guys are continuously eating. They're picking up the gyoza from the tray. And the gyoza is actually disappearing from the tray, which means it's part of the animation. It's not part of the art direction. And they are taking it. Himeno is going to pick up this one, I'm assuming, because it's the closest one to her. I love that this has become a meme. Same shot as before. The same outside view, right? You have a very good understanding of the size of this restaurant they're in right now. Shota GOATozono always gives you that idea. The scene from when Denji gets shot to when Aki uses KON was animated by Spike. Spike is a young animator. He's a very good animator, but this is not his best work. I would say his best work was in Osama Ranking, where his animation was just super stylized, just a joy to witness. I love the Kannada style influence in his animation. but with his own unique brush-like effects animation with the blood. And also the shading on Oaken's face is just so gorgeous. Here he's limited by style because that kind of stylized animation would not work on Chainsaw Man, as I said before. It's not just in style though, he's also limited in schedule here, because if you look at the Genga, or well, if you look at the production material that he's posted, he was not able to complete the layout and do his own Genga for the entire scene because he was probably limited by the production schedule. Even then, whoever did the second KA work for this, whoever did the Doga work for this, did a very good job. Spike's animation really shines through. And even with the limitations in Spike's style here and the schedule, all Spike had to do was do. Because my god, this scene is genius in terms of storyboards. I talked so much about Shota GOATozono's understanding of spacing all this time, but now you really get to see Shota GOATozono's incredible understanding of timing here. Hold that for some time. Aki turns around. You can really see the horror in Aki's face as well. He gives you some time to go, what the fuck? But after that, boom, chaos, boom, quick cuts, all the way up until then. And even then, it doesn't slow down. Aki uses KON, and then that's where the shot ends. So many cuts. Look at the number of cuts in this sequence, right? Exactly 10 seconds of animation, and the number of cuts, 12 and 13. So 13 cuts in 10 seconds. So like most of the cuts, they don't even last 1 second long. So that's quick cuts. But you're never lost in the sauce. You know exactly what's happening at every single moment. Aki got shot here, but there's no blood, which means his coat was probably bulletproof. Himeno gets shot. Her first face, you can just see shock, right? Look at where Power's looking. Power's looking at Aki and Denji. Denji just got shot. Himeno is looking at the guy who has a gun, and she's wondering, how the fuck does he have a gun? This is the expression in her face right now, which just turns to complete horror as she gets shot. So well done. And then Power immediately goes around. You see her rotating. You focus on Power right now because Himeno's blurred out right now. First, Himeno's on focus, but then focus is shifted on Power. Himeno is blurred out. They're purposefully shifting your focus onto Power. And this scene of awesome, this is full background animation. Yes, this is full 2D background animation. Awesome work by Spike. So well done. And he misses the shot. Really cool effects animation with the plates breaking. And then you just come in on him. Power uppercuts the shit out of him. Really cool shot. And then Power's expression while she's turning around to Aki is just cherry on top. It's just amazing. Did I just copy the Sakuboru comment? I did. Again, the focus shift here is awesome. Aki uses KON and the focus shifts onto his hand. No time to breathe. It still keeps going. And here, look at this, right? They took everything about the philosophy of Chainsaw Man's animation and threw it out of the fucking window. This sequence is animated by Hisashi Mori. Hisashi Mori is a veteran in the industry, and by veteran, I mean this man is big. I'm not saying that he's in the same league as like Koki Fujimoto, Keiichiro Watanabe, Tatsuya Yoshihara, etc. I'm saying he's big in the same league like Norio Matsumoto, Takashi Tomioka, Naoto Shishida. And that is why he is allowed to take Chainsaw Man's animation philosophy and completely throw it out of the fucking window, literally. His effect shapes are really unique. I will talk about the storyboard, but I want to talk about how KON looks in this shot here. This does not look like it's in line with the rest of Chainsaw Man's animation philosophy, which is hyper-realism. Compare this to what we saw in the PV. The PV shot of KON was animated by Jem. He also animated the scene of KON in episode 4. Putting them side by side, look at the teeth in particular, the level of detail put into the teeth, the level of detail put into the fur. They look like completely different characters. And just from what I've seen people talking about so far, it seems like most people like the cut in the PV, but they are both fundamentally different. Not only the way they're executed, like first of all, in the PV cut, it looks like KON is going chomp. Here, KON is morphing outside. It's like that area where KON is spawning got deleted and KON occupied that space. It's not like KON came forth and bit that space out. So it is fundamentally different in the thought process and how the scene was supposed to be animated. And not only that, it's also fundamentally different in the way Mob Psycho is different from Chainsaw Man. But what Mori Sensei is doing in the scene is animating something that you would see in Mob Psycho in Chainsaw Man. And it does not work with the rest of Chainsaw Man's animation identity. It does work in Chainsaw Man, just not with the rest of the Chainsaw Man anime, with the way they have stylized the rest of the show. I guess it is because I took a long break, but I suck at recording videos now because I have to fill in for my past self again here. I want to make it perfectly clear here that my criticism is not that Hisashi Mori's style was made apparent in this cut for Chainsaw Man. Well, it is partly that, but it's also that for the action scenes, I wish more stylized action was a thing. But it's not. And that's why Hisashi Mori's animation sticks out like a sore thumb. Sort of like how Naruto vs. Pain happened. It is one of the, if not the best animated episode in the entirety of the Naruto franchise. But because we've never seen something like that, because that is so stylistically different from the rest of Naruto, it just feels awkward thrown in there. And that effect is just compounded for Chainsaw Man, which has been so uniform with this animation. And suddenly we get Hisashi punched in the face. But I mean, you gotta make a decision, right? Either full uniform animation or full stylized animation. When you throw in stylized cuts like Hisashi's in between the rest of the episode, it looks awkward. So much so that some people, including me, were just trying to figure out for the longest time if this is just Hisashi Mori's style or if this is bad second key animation. This only made it to the final product because Hisashi Mori is that big a name, so they just let Mori do whatever the fuck he wanted to do, and this is what he came up with. And while it looks incredible, it really does not fit with Chainsaw Man's style. Do I love it? Fuck yes, it looks so fucking good. It's awesome animation. This is still tame compared to his previous works. Like, if you look at his works in One Piece, you will see that he goes way more crazy than this shit. As for his effect shapes though, I love the smoke effects that he's using here. It looks like calligraphy effects. Maybe he is using paintbrush for these effects. That just looks so awesome. The debris animation is also really good. Now we're shifting to Shinnosuke Tanaka's animation, and Tanaka's animation fits just seamlessly within the two sequences that Mori has animated. I don't know how, maybe Mori did corrections for Tanaka's sequence as well. The character design of Aki, this still does not look like the rest of the show. This looks like it was still animated by Mori. And even these characters, there's like very little detail, and the way they're drawn is fundamentally different compared to the rest of the show. This looks more like their manga counterpart. The anime version of the character designs, they're much more like Death Note character designs than they look like Mob Psycho 100 character designs, for example. The lines underneath her eyes just show that she's just tired in a lot of pain. And this shot is great, but I love the next shot even more. This is so good. This was definitely storyboarded by Gosso. Look at how genius the spacing is. Every single character that we know of, we know where they are. Denji's dead over here. Himeno is here. Power is right there. And this is Aki right here. Kon is right on top of Aki. So this spacing is just not present in the manga. In manga, you're confused where Kon is, you're confused where every single character is. Shift to this scene, this is back to Hisashi Mori's animation again, and this is where his style works. Shot that almost looks like an impact frame, and then effect starts bursting. Look at the effects. It does not even look like it's coming from the eyeball. It looks like it's spraying directly onto the screen. And yeah, now he's using like crayon type effects. This is not wonky second key. This is not wonky AD either. This is Hisashi Mori's style, and it works perfectly here. The Katana Man seems like an alien force that is just literally cutting his way, and its effects work perfectly here. And the shot of Katana Man. They already showed in this episode what completely ignoring what the manga panel looks like and coming up with the own anime original shot looks like. And now they show you what an actual perfect adaptation of a manga panel should look like. Absolute godlike animation right here. Again, look at Power's character design. This looks nothing like the way Power has looked in the past, because this is animated still by Hisashi Mori, and still no time to breathe. Kon disappears. Katana Man was standing on top of Kon. Boom, he comes down. Love Hisashi Mori's effect shapes. Again, the tiles look so cool. We see the inside of his coat shift to the outside, and Aki just passes in between his legs. Now we are back to Koki Fujimoto's genius realism animation. And yes, the reason I like this the most, I think this is the best fight scene in Chainsaw Man, is because of that realism. Here, Aki looks like just a dude fighting something unstoppable who just cut through his most powerful weapon. So the way he sets slowly regaining his balance and running forward, it just looks so natural. And the way he's running forward here again, he's not running at an insane speed. He's just running at regular human speed, and the human motions are done so well, animated to perfection. I do think this is a CGI background, and the CGI mixing is done extremely well. And I also do think the Katana Man is 3D here. Cursed Devil comes in, flicks the really cool blurry smears, and Aki's shoulder just goes shooting forwards. He's like this, and he goes like this immediately. Usually you would go like that while at the point of impact, but he's going a little bit early because something is literally firing, shooting him forward. And then boom, gorgeous effects animation. Look at the mixing of 3D, 2D. This is 3D Katana Man. That is an incredible 3D model. So well done. And here you really see the full extent of the nail that Aki is using. Also the fact that there's a 2D object going through a 3D model. Chainsaw Man has the best CGI I have seen in anime. I haven't watched Trigun Stampede yet, so that might be better. But Trigun Stampede, as I mentioned in my episode 1 breakdown of Chainsaw Man, Trigun Stampede is not limited by art style. They literally changed the art style. They literally changed the character designs into a form that would work in CGI. Chainsaw Man is not doing that. They're still being faithful to the character designs. And look at that. This is the CGI model. This is the 2D model. It's almost identical. Of course, the blood and all that stuff is changing here because this is a newly drawn drawing. And this CGI model was probably made after this drawing was made. So this is like the CGI models all have blood in specific locations that won't change. So you'll see blood in the same locations in the katana, blood in the same location in the hat kind of katana. By the way, I forgot to talk about the character design of the Katana Man. Fucking genius character design. Love how he kicks it out, kicks and pulls the sword out, gets ready to attack again. And look at these motions. It's so fluid. The drawings are also so cool. I wonder how he's seeing. Maybe he has ice inside there somewhere, but I don't know. He's moving very slow now, maybe because of the injury. And look at these shots. So fucking genius. Look at how Aki's holding the sword. He's holding it like this. He's holding it over the hat sword. So he has to like push it in like this. Usually, you won't be able to attack someone like that. And that is what gets Katana Man off guard, catches Katana Man off guard, because no way he's gonna attack him like this, right? You can't generate any power attacking him like that. Unless, of course, you're being shoved in by a finger from the Curse Devil. Look at that. It hits him, and then it goes smashing inwards like this. You can't generate any power like this, but because the Curse Devil is flicking it in, you can generate power like that. So cool. I love that. In the manga, it's just that good, if not better. The fingers literally coming from outside the panels. It's really awesome. Again, the Katana Man is CGI here, and the model is just so perfect that it's extremely hard to notice. I cannot tell if this is 3D or 2D Katana Man. If I had to guess, I'd say it's 3D. And again, he gets back into position. It's moving through the 4th dimension here. It's actually not going past the screen. It's doing this through the screen. And of course, Koki Fujimoto's extraordinary impact frame. Fujimoto has the genius talent by which he can tell stories through impact frames. For example, look at this sequence. Gentle is getting powered up through Labrava's love, and Fujimoto shows that through impact frames. And the aura from Labrava transfers into Gentle Criminal, and it's shaped like a heart. It is very hard to spot in real time. Here again, the Curse Devil's skull just appearing through as in the form of impact frames. So fucking sick. It's so gorgeous. So I'm assuming the finger has already gone past Aki's sword and is now coming towards the screen. And so Aki's sword is getting flicked upwards. And this is where you can really tell. All he does is kick him backwards, right? Aki goes flying backwards. And in the next shot, you can see that Aki already has internal bleeding. Because Katana Man is extremely powerful and Aki is just a dude. Just getting kicked away causes that much damage to him. That just gives the sense of mortality to these characters that most anime is lacking. All Might literally throws Bakugo into a building and Bakugo is not even hurt. Do they have like some defensive powers as well, apart from their quirk? But there's none of that. You can tell that Aki is just an immortal human being. The curse appearing is also genius. As the curse appears in, the inky shading of Koki Fujimoto. Koki Fujimoto loves playing with ink. I made a community post of just Koki Fujimoto's impact frames. You can go to my community tab and check it out if you want. But yes, again, this feels really alien. Like it's layered in an awkward way. The compositing is perfect here. You can't tell where the Curse Devil is located. Is it in front of the Katana Man? No, because there's portions of it that's behind the Katana Man. But these hands look like they're in front of the Katana Man. So there's some sort of unnatural depth here. And that's the purpose of this shot as a whole, right? Trying to make it look as unnatural as possible. Curse, finish him. Flawless animation again, character acting. Love how the hand appears around him. Again, very paintbrush-esque effects. I also think this is animated by Fujimoto. This does look like it's 2D. I could be wrong, because Gosso is so good at playing with 3D. And the whole team of the animators, they're all so good at playing with 3D that it could be 3D. This, however, is definitely 3D, and I love the shading, even if it's 3D. And again, a lot of people were complaining about this cut. I have no idea what you're complaining about. I know it looks unnatural. It's two skulls biting into a guy wearing a trench coat who has swords coming out of his hands and his head. As for the quality itself, it absolutely does not look bad at all. Only thing that does look bad here is the effects animation. That's just horrible blood effects. As for the 3D models itself, I have no issues with these models. The 3D effects look bad, but the 3D models themselves completely fine. Now we finally get some time to breathe. And look at the character acting here with Aki again, right? He's like doing this. Is he dead? Alright, that's really cool. And it's conveyed by animation. Again, the sense of space is just so well done. You can still see Power and Himeno there. You can still see Denji dead in this corner here. We never lose track of the space where they're fighting in. I love Power's oversized shoes as well. Again, Denji is still placed in the shot. You're never wondering, where the fuck is Denji? Come on, heal. By the way, I don't understand how Denji's healing works at all. So he can die, but he can come back from death. If he gets his arm blown off, all he needs to do is drink blood. But I don't understand. If he gets his arm blown off and he drinks blood, will he develop a new arm? Or will the pre-existing arm attach to his body? The healing factor is not really properly explained in Chainsaw Man at all, so I wonder how it works. He's wondering about everything else, but then he realizes, fuck, Himeno is dying. I need to save her. And then the snake girl, she slowly appears into the frame. She revives Katana Man. You can really see the horror in Aki's face, conveyed by the line work underneath his eyes. Like, holy fuck, I just expended years out of my life to do that. And she just brought him back like that. And I also wonder how she brought him back. I wonder if it's like a power that she has, or maybe it's because, you know, Katana Man's innate ability of coming back to life. So like pulling the katana out of his hand, like Denji does in episode 12 after he kills him. Maybe that's what brought him back to life. But again, this is a manga panel brought to life very well. It's just a one-to-one adaptation, really. Look at the CGI model. Look at the CGI model. How can you dislike the CGI model? And boom. Sick animation. This is, of course, again, storyboarded by Shota GOATozono. I can tell from the timing and the shot composition here. This is another concave shot, right? Yes, this is caving in, so it is a concave shot. Sense of perspective and distance is so well done here again. You can see Denji's legs here as well. And then again, quick cuts to show reactions, Power, Savatari, and back. In the manga, this is again just one big panel showing the impact on Aki. But right now, they're building suspense. You see the blood just slowly dripping from the Katana Man's katana. And then you see the horror in Aki's face. He's just like, fuck, if I move, I might die. And then the blood just explodes out of him. Internal bleeding immediately. And then showing the blade and then going past him. It's kind of weird the way that's done. But if you hear that with audio, it's completely fine. It looks really good. And again, this is a perfect adaptation of the manga panel. Just incredible. This manga panel could not have been adapted in a better way. This scene was animated by an animator named Bashi. Let me check if that's Bashi or Geshi, because they are separate animators. Yes, this is animated by Bashi, and the scene after that is animated by Geshi. This is Bashi's, you wouldn't guess, first work in anime. And this is the only sequence he animates in Chainsaw Man, so he probably spent a good amount of time in this. And an animator showing an incredible amount of potential. Of course, this is partly to do with Shota GOATozono's storyboards being so amazing, but Bashi, animator to look out for. And I also find it hilarious that Bashi worked alongside an animator named Geshi. It's like fucking boogie woogie. And yes, this is also still sick. See how natural that looks, so good. From here on, it's animated by Geshi. Again, just some really good background movement. It seems like the Katana Man does not want to kill Aki here. This is CGI, right? Holy shit, that's CGI. That's so good. Some really cool character acting sequences by Geshi here. Let me see how much he animated. Okay, so he did animate this whole sequence, which is particularly amazing because this line work on the ghost hand is very nice. Character acting also really good as she spits out blood, looks down, she realizes she's about to fucking die. The way her pupils are drawn as well, like it's staggered. It's not a perfect circle. It's got staggered line work to show that she's in extreme pain. She looks up at impending doom on her partner. And this whole sequence, starting from Katana Man walking towards Aki to kill him, to Katana Man standing behind Aki to kill him, all animated by Geshi. And you wouldn't guess that this is Geshi's first work in anime. So a lot of first-time workers in this episode, which is great. I love seeing first-time animators work on high-profile episodes, which gives them a big name now. You recognize these guys' talents and they're gonna go forth in the anime industry with this talent being recognized by other people as well. That's why Creek turned into a superstar, because he animated possibly the most important sequence of Jujutsu Kaisen episode 13. This sequence is animated by Kyuri Liu. So good to see him work in anime again. He worked extensively in Castlevania Season 4, where he animated like godlike. I love his effects animation. I love his impact frames in particular. Remember what I said in the previous episode about hand animation? Just making a single drawing of a hand is already hard enough. Well, Kyuri Liu was just like, one hand? Nah. I'm gonna animate 100 fucking hands. And this is the best scene in terms of raw animation of this episode. What a fucking genius. Also love the storyboards of the sequence. I don't know who did it, probably Gosso. Like, she says that you can have everything that I own. The music here also fucking incredible. I keep saying that Kensuke Ushio's score has not sounded better than it has for this episode. Goes through her other eye and then goes through her hand, sort of like making the pact. And look at the sense of depth here. The background animation also fucking incredible. All the hands just come in through the shadows. How do you animate this? I don't know how you animate this. That's a lot of fucking hands, man. I thought no one would be able to top Kai Shibata's hand animation from Jujutsu Kaisen episode 13. I'd say Kyuri Liu has matched that. The background animation is just the icing on the cake. I love the way the perspectives work with the hands as well. Some of them are just coming down, some of them are pointing upwards, like this finger right here. It's fucking creepy while being absolutely beautiful as well. How many hands are those that he has to animate? And he also made an official, well, not official, he made an artwork for this as well. And this is what makes me realize that animators would be incredible as mangakas as well. They're just so good at just doing art. People who are able to make hundreds of incredible drawings would also be good at making one amazing drawing. Like, it is pretty obvious when you think about it. Everything here is CGI. This is definitely CGI. The hands in the background are 2D, however, but from the waist above, or is it the waist, the neck? Is it the waist or the neck of the ghost devil? But that is CGI and it does not look too bad. I don't like the flower textures here. These flower textures do not look 3D, ironically, because they are 3D. These, however, you can look at how the petals are just pointing outwards. Absolutely gives the illusion of depth. But here there's no illusion of depth. It just looks like textures, flat textures slapped onto a surface. It looks like Max Payne's face from Max Payne 1. I mean, it is a very complicated looking model. So this is still animated by Kyuri Liu, by the way. All of this. So even more hand animation by him. I think all of this was corrected by Shota Yamazaki, maybe? Oh, never mind. It was actually Kazutaka Sugiyama, the chief animation director and the character designer of the show, who did the correction for the scenes. And I do think that he changed it extensively, maybe because Kyuri Liu's animation was rough for this, which makes sense because Katana Man is not an easy character to draw. Plus, he was already doing the layout for the previous scene, which was a pretty lengthy scene and looked amazing, which is why it looks a little bit choppy. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. It's mostly animated in threes, which is why it looks a little bit choppy, but it's still well timed enough so that the animation flows properly. I also don't think this was storyboarded by Gosso. This sequence, however, looks really nice. Focus on her hand, moving up. You're definitely looking at her hand right now, and it just suddenly fucking vanishes in a smeary form. Really cool smears. Looks like it's literally being torn apart and then vanishing. And her expressions and the way she's moving right now, like she's drunk in pain. That's what she looks like. Boy, this is a good drawing. This is what you get when the chief animation director does the correction for your shot, because boy, this is an incredible drawing. Motions here are really good. Like, look at this, right? The arm, he's gonna cut that off. Look at that. He's literally doing this. He's flicking his hand, flicking the sword in his hand to cut that off. And then bam, 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 pumped by arms. It looks, I think, a little bit more fluid in the corrections, honestly. Now we go back to guess who? Koki Fujimoto, again. And it's another incredible scene. Look at the natural motions. Look at the way the devil is just appearing into the scene. Look at that shading. I also love the shot composition. This must go back. I think this goes back to Gosso's storyboards. Especially the shot. The shot is just way too Gosso. That is just so cool. So much depth here as well. Like, you can see these guys in the foreground. In the background, you can see more of the Ghost Devil's arms, and in the super background you can just see the background, and this arm disappears as well. Love the shot again. This is the Ghost Devil's arms. You see two arms here, and now you see Himeno without her own two arms. Paint expression on Aki done amazingly. Love how the shadows seeping in here. Because of the clouds moving in, the shadows slowly sleeping in, the darkness slowly seeping into the shot. But Himeno's already in the darkness. Love this movements as well. This is Himeno's moment. The sun shines on her. She loses her leg. The way she's tumbling down, the pain is just so well transferred. Especially this face here, when her second leg disappears and she just goes plop. They make you feel pain via animation. Love this hand animation. Is this CGI? There's no way this is CGI, right? I don't think that's CGI. And I love the way it's opening up as well. It's like sequential, like someone is sliding their hand through a piano. That's the way the Snake Devil's mouth is opening, and also the fact that the mouth is just made of more hands. I wonder who animated those hands. Hopefully not Kyrie-Lo, because he's done enough hand animation for a lifetime. Love the shot here. It's a full CGI shot, but it's still done so well. The petals just flying everywhere looks really nice. The flowers also have a lot of depth here. I wonder why they didn't have depth in that one shot that I showed before. Here they have a lot of depth. And as soon as it gets its head chomped off, the grip it had on a Katana Man also gets loosened. This shot looks kind of awkward unless you actually focus on what's happening. You see Savatari here. You see the Ghost Devil here. That's the Katana Man. And then you see the gigantic snake. And I love this. I don't know why manga readers did not like this. Again, I guess they want the shot to be one-to-one manga, but this is anime being used to its full potential. Giga talked about it. No sound effect, no fancy smoke dissipation, nothing like that. You're focused on Savatari right now. Then your eye shifts to the portion that is moving. You look to the Ghost Devil and you're just fucking in shock at what you're looking at. Everything here is in 2D. It's the same shot as previously, except with the Snake Devil now. This is a storyboarding genius of an episode, and the animation keeps up with the storyboards for the most part. That's it. That's my favorite episode of 2022. Probably the best episode of Chainsaw Man. I can't think of any other episode that tops this in terms of direction, at least. Episode 1 comes close. Yeah, episode 12 also comes close, but episode 12 does not keep up in terms of animation. They had to compensate with a lot of CGI. While it's incredible CGI, doesn't change the fact that they had to compensate with CGI. I'm not done though, because we still have a Yuki Kamiya ED to go through. So Yuki Kamiya made my favorite ED and my second favorite ED of Chainsaw Man, which is ED3 and now ED8. For the animation in that, Lighton, Soshi, and 10 to 10, the young animators brought in via Nakayama Project, they helped out a lot. Here, however, the bulk of it was animated by Takafumi Mitani, and by the bulk of it, I mean everything. Yuki Kamiya did do some corrections or some effects animation is what I'm guessing, because Kamiya is also credited for animation for this ED. But in the essence of it, it is a solo key animation work by Takafumi Mitani. Absolutely gorgeous ED, and the music helps. Things that Kamiya loves the most, I would say, is colors. If you watched episode E3 ED, which you definitely have, you notice how they play with colors really well, especially the shade of orange. They also use neon green here. As far as storyboarding goes, this is really complemented by incredible art direction. I think the character designs were corrected by Kamiya, but the animation by Mitani is also awesome. I love the shot in particular. It's just so painful to watch, considering what just happened. And in the background, all the memories just going through. I don't know what all they show in the background. It's hard to spot all of them. This is, I think that's Aki. This is the graveyard. This is Himeno. Then we have Kid Aki. When his parents died, we have Aki holding, clutching Himeno's eye patch. This is obviously Makima's eyeball, which lasts for the longest period, of course. And this is Himeno giving the cigarette to Aki. Shot of power, barely any line work whatsoever. Again, this stylized character designs, I really like it. Of course, the base character designs by Kazutaka Sugiyama is also fucking incredible, but the stylizing just keeps everything fresh. Love this fisheye effect, following up on Shota GOATozono's episode, I guess. But this is like a doorknob, I think, or maybe you're peeking through the peephole in the door. That is Kishibe. This is the only time Kishibe appears in any ED ever, which is kind of sad. I wanted to see more of him. And he has a fucking ton of cars. Mo sitting in a chair, and then him clutching the eye patch, which we also saw earlier. This is foreshadowing, of course, as to what we will see in episode 11. I think 11, yes. The EDs, all of them have a lot of foreshadowing, especially ED5. ED5 is just spectacular foreshadowing. And then we see an awesome drawing of the Ghost Devil. This looks so sick. Man, Fujimoto is such an incredible artist coming up with shit like this. Really cool shot of the arm coming in. And then I think this is the Gun Devil, right? Because all the individual elements, like you can see the butt of weapons here. You can also see the barrels of some weapons. Fujimoto is so good at character designing, man. Like the Ghost Devil, the Gun Devil. Can't even see the Gun Devil properly here, but I can tell that this is an awesome character design. And of course, the Katana Man, which is one of the best character designs I've seen in anime. So cool. Makima slowly opening her eye, and while she's opening her eyes, she's sequentially opening her eyes, and it matches the beat of the song. Really nice. And Makima standing and swaying her body slightly can be a genre of animation in its whole, invented and popularized by Tatsuya Yoshihara in the second PV of Chainsaw Man. It seems like everyone likes doing it, and Mitani did it here as well. And then quick up, but this is a reference to something that I don't know for sure. And this sequence of animation is the best. It's also the best storyboarded sequence in this ED. I don't know what devil that is. Cyclops devil maybe. But Kon comes in. This is just a highly detailed, regular, furry Kon style. It's as if, again, she's startled at what she has to go through in her life. Awesome parkour sequence. Mitani's animation is so good. Just compounded by the incredible compositing here. I love the compositing. And the hand-holding transition is so good. Them holding hands transition to the Ghost Devil pulling Aki up and holding the sheath of his sword. And Aki just pulls his nail sword out of it. So cool. Her walking in Vinland and this sequence of flowers as well. Beautiful sequence of flowers, and then it cuts to giant centipedes and withered flowers. What's 1000 minus 7? Another really cool shot of Himeno, really well drawn shot. You can see how her hair looks like here. No line work whatsoever. No individual stranding at all. And barely any line work. And the gigantic titty put into full display. Really nice. Back to the orange lighting. This is a reference to Goodbye Eri, which is another Fujimoto manga. I haven't read it. Heard that as a masterpiece. I'm gonna check that out for sure. Again, really awesome colors here. Love the slight swaying of that as well. And that's the episode, everyone. That is Chainsaw Man episode 8. My favorite episode of 2022. Probably the best episode of 2022 and easily the best episode of Chainsaw Man. Some of the greatest bits of direction I've seen in an episode ever. Shota GOATozono, genius animator, genius director, could not work to his full potential here, but still was able to do what he could with the schedule he was given. Partly because, again, as I said before, the schedule caught up to them. Partly because the episode was just overly ambitious. And also partly because he's probably going to be working extensively in Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2. Well, I'm really excited to see his work. If he's the chief director of Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, and his style brushes off in all the episodes, that'll be a pleasure to watch. I wonder if Nakayama is going to direct another episode in Jujutsu Kaisen, by the way, because he did direct episode 19 and that was the best action episode of Jujutsu Kaisen. If he does direct in season 2, that would be cool, but I'm assuming they're going to make a movie for Chainsaw Man, the canon movie like they did for Jujutsu Kaisen, because that's the only way they can sustain these two productions, massive productions simultaneously, like they did Jujutsu Kaisen 0, and at the same time, Chainsaw Man was in production with the same team. But that's just the way it is. That's just how it will be if you just take up two massive productions simultaneously. This is of course not even taking Attack on Titan and Jigoku Raku into consideration. Jigoku Raku is not going to look good. Just keep your hopes low for that one. And maybe you'll be positively surprised, but I don't think it will look as good as Jujutsu Kaisen. I mean, obviously not as good as Chainsaw Man. Kind of sad, but as long as there's at least a couple of episodes like the Gosso episode, or like the Tanaka episode, or like the Yoshihara episode, I'll be satisfied. Can't wait to see what Gosso works on next, which is probably going to be Jujutsu Kaisen. That's episode 8. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to try and put out this video as soon as possible. But that's about it for this video. If you like this video, leave a like, share it with your friends if you think they'll like it as well. If you did not like this video, leave a dislike and tell me down in the comment section what you did not like about this video. And yeah, that's about it. Thanks for the views.